Welcome to Simple Remielle Guide in 8 minutes, and let's get right into it. Remielle is mainly an off-field agent with low on-field time that surprisingly applies quite a bit of days too. Let's talk about her mechanics. Despite her complicated mechanics, she is not too difficult to play, which I will show you later in the video, but I feel it's important to understand her mechanics as well, and we'll get into that right now. So Lumiflux is a new element that's very unique, kinda like Varka from Genshin, where she takes on the elements of her teammates. Remielle has 3 types of resources: pink points, which are Lumiflux points that are on the enemy as you can see, void flare, that are the pink balls below the resource bar, and the pink bar, which is the floating radiance above the pink balls. It's all a bit confusing, so I'm just gonna call them pink points, pink balls, and pink bar to keep it simple. Let's start talking about the pink points first. You can build up to 4 pink points on the enemy like so. You can see on the screen it has 4 pink points. Triggering an anomaly on an enemy while it has at least one of the Lumiflux points, the pink points, will consume the point and generate a ball for Remielle for each point used. So basically you're converting pink points into pink balls. When she has pink balls, she can trigger Luminize through different skills, which is her main source of damage. You always want to make sure you have at least 3 pink balls, and we'll get into why that is in a bit. Now let's start talking about the pink bar. It's all a bit confusing, but bear with me. The pink bar floating radiance can be built through these methods on screen.
Nice.
And you really only want to hold basic with 3 pink balls. You don't want to hold basic if you have any less pink balls. When the pink bar is full, you can hold special, and she does a stance shift where she will pose like that, and it will trigger quick assist to your next agent. You can swap out early as well to maximize damage. But keep in mind, wait for the screen to turn bright white like so. Otherwise, you're gonna swap out too early. Either that or you can enjoy a pose in all its glory. Once the next agent takes to the field, Remielle will basically go into off-field mode, consuming 3 floating radiance per second, depleting that pink bar, slowly while applying pink points on the enemy. She also buffs the damage dealt for the team. You also can't swap into Remielle when she is in this state and off-field unless you use a chain attack, but even with a chain attack, you don't want to swap off because it's a huge DPS loss. Basically, once she's in off-field mode, you want to trigger 3 anomalies like so. 1, 2, 3, and you have 40 seconds to do so. And then once she has the 3 pink balls, as you can see, you can swap into Remielle and she does this entry skill, triggering 3 Luminize, which is her main source of damage. If that entry skill you saw hits an enemy during their stun window, the stun duration is also extended by 3 seconds. After you use her flashy entry skill, you want to basically use the help basic attack, consuming all the pink balls like so, triggering more Luminize. This will give you the pink bar again, which will let you enter off-field mode again. Remielle's ult will basically deal a lot of damage and trigger 3 instances of Luminize, 1 for each pink ball, without actually consuming the pink balls. You typically want to save the ult for the stun window though. Now you're sort of seeing why it's so important to get 3 anomalies in to get 3 pink balls in 40 seconds during her off-field mode, because not doing so will lead to less Luminize from her help basic and ultimate, which is a huge DPS loss. Her EX though will barely be used and will only really be used at the start of the battle to get 2 pink points or to fill in gaps during battle. Now let's get to the rotations part of the video. Despite a complicated kit, she isn't actually that hard to play. I'm going to show you some specific examples with the Remielle, Promea, and Valina team. We start off with the non-stun window rotation, and then we get into the stun window rotation. To start off her non-stun window rotation, we're going to hold EX special, swap off into Promea, and then swap into Valina, trigger Windswept, like so. And then want to quick assist into Promea, apply the ice, and then here you want to swap between Promea and Valina if you can to parry attacks. And then once Remielle has 3 pink balls, you swap back into Remielle, doing this entry skill. And then you want to hold basic after the entry skill is done to consume those 3 pink balls. And then you basically want to go back into off-field mode like so. And you want to repeat, rinse and repeat again until the stun window appears. You can also see, because Remielle is applying ice, I don't really have to pay attention to making sure Valina's Windswept applies the ice element as opposed to the Yuzuha team where I have to be very careful that Promea is the first one to land a hit, because otherwise Yuzuha will inflict physical and then we'll lose a lot of big DPS damage. So now I'm going to show you a stun window rotation. You basically want to make sure Remielle is in her off-field mode. When you trigger the stun, you want to make sure you chain into Promea, like so. Use up all of Promea's resources. I'm doing some big burst damage here. Do your Promea rotation. And then you want to switch or chain into Remielle. And then you want to ult. And then after ulting, hold basic. And then you're ready to do the whole thing again. Note that the rotation might extend beyond the stun window. I don't think there's anything that can be done about that. Especially in the training room where the stun window is pretty short. And that Promea's rotation is kinda long, so you might get better luck with other agents. You can basically substitute Promea with any other anomaly agent like Jane and Piper and the like. Now let's talk about the stats required in the drive disc. You are aiming for 4000 attack minimum and 400 anomaly proficiency plus on the stat screen. You want 4-piece Feathered Fate and 2-piece Freedom Blues. Take a note that there is no Luminized damage bonus disc, and using an element that the Luminized will take on will not increase Remielle's damage, as it takes on the element of the other agents and his stats too. For slot 4 you want anomaly proficiency, and for slot 5 and 6 you want attack percentage. Substats to focus on are attack until you reach that 4000 attack and anomaly proficiency. And then after that you can play around with flat pen and attack as well. Her signature is by far the best, and there is really no alternative. The best F2P option is Weeping Gemini, but you're still dealing a lot less damage compared. I would really think about getting a signature W engine if you plan on getting Remielle. Let's get into her teams. You need 3 anomaly agents due to her additional ability which give attack percentage buffs to the team. She also gives herself more days depending on how many anomaly agents you have on the team. The best part about getting Remielle is that Yuzuha is finally free and you can place her on another anomaly team. For example, now that Yuzuha is free from my Promea team, she can be placed in my Miyabi team and I can have 2 solid anomaly DPS teams. Agents that work very well are Promea, Arya, and after the buffs, Bernice and Jane Doe. That's basically it for the Remielle guide, and I'm gonna enjoy Remielle's incredible animations. Thank you, see ya, bye bye.